hello, everybody. It is Kenny Overton here, and I am so excited to be here tonight with you again on Black Opera Live. Every Monday here at 7 p.m., I'm going to have some incredible guests, and tonight is no exception. Tonight, I have a dear friend, a fantastic artist. She is innovative, she is unconventional, she is feisty, she is gorgeous. She is Marsha Thompson. And I wanted to take a few minutes and tell you a little bit about her before we bring her into the social media virtual studio of Black Opera Live. So, Marsha Thompson, soprano, is lauded, darling, lauded by the New York Times for her stellar performance as Violetta in La Traviata, which was a live performance outdoors in Central Park, revealing a warm, agile soprano who sang and acted expressively throughout the evening. Now, see, that was the New York Times, and I know they ain't lying because Marsha gives it all, okay? So, in 2018, Miss Thompson has sung Sieglinde in Die Walküre with Trilogy Opera Company in Newark. And also with Opera Theater in the Rockies in Colorado Springs, she sang Aida. And she sang Abigail in Nabucco with Union Avenue Opera in St. Louis, which I had the honor and pleasure to see and witness. She was absolutely a force. She has received accolades for her portrayal as Bess in Porgy and Bess with the New York City Opera, Opera Carolina, and Piedmont Opera. She also sang Violetta in Traviata with Opera Mississippi, in addition to the New York Grand Opera. She sang Tosca at Opera Festival di Roma and Aida at Piccolo Teatro alla Scala. She also performed in The Life and Times of Malcolm X and Tremonisha with New York City Opera, and the role of Harriet Tubman with American Opera Projects. Ms. Thompson has been awarded considerable prizes from the Opera Orchestra of New York, vocal competition in 2014, first prize winner of the Altamura Caruso International Voice Competition, finalist and grant winner, as well as awards from other prestigious organizations. You can follow Miss Diva Thompson on all of her social media platforms and get a taste of the diva herself. But when we come back, the next face and voice that you will hear is of my dear friend, the fabulous Marsha Thompson. Hello, Diva. Hello.
Hello.
Listen, I can't stand you. I cannot stand you, Marsha. What is going on?
Well, because listen, I'm obsessed with these masks. It's an obsession. You see,
Clearly.
it's an obsession. This is one of my masks. And I just want to encourage everyone to keep wearing your masks. Governor Cuomo said yesterday that masks have continued to help keep the coronavirus spread below 1% in New York and New York City specifically. So I just had to debut one of my new masks.
Come on and debut the mask now. Come on and debut. Now we need to see this gorgeous face. So
Right.
since you are
Right. So
since
that's a
you are
whole
safe, you are safe and inside. You can take that mask off so we can see. I knew
right.
you was gonna come with something.
Yes, that was one of my new ones. I just couldn't help myself. How are you tonight?
I am blessed by the best. I can't complain. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. I'm so happy to be here tonight with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Of
I feel
course.
I haven't been doing these Zoom interviews all summer. You know, I've been watching a lot of the ones that you've done, and Karen and Laquita and Larry and whomever else I can
Yes.
tune into, Patrick McCoy and I just said, oh my goodness, these Zoom parties and online talks. I said, I was putting my makeup on and doing my hair, and I was thinking, this is work.
Right.
Said,
It's a lot.
I have to be prepared. And all the links that you sent me, I said, oh my goodness, let me put on my technical hat for this tonight.
Listen, it's a whole lot to get dolled up and get ready for these interviews. Folks think that, me, Karen, and Larry, we just get up and do this and it's voila. No, it's stuff that goes into this, lighting and angles and making sure the guests are on time and technically secure and the camera and the lights. It's a lot. And ain't nobody getting a check. So we're doing this for the love of doing it and celebrating our folks. Did you freeze up on me, Marsha? I think you froze up on me. Anyway, until she unfreezes, I will talk to y'all a little bit more. So yesterday, actually this whole weekend, I was with my team filming for Jesse Norman at 75 for her birthday celebration on this September 15th. We're all so very excited about that. And I have to tell you that I wasn't prepared really for how I was going to feel being in a space where I would experience live singing again. I wasn't singing. I was hosting and doing some assistant directing from behind the camera and learning a lot from the tech people, the sound people, the videographers, all the rest of it. And it was amazing. But I was just finding myself really moved because I didn't realize how much I missed experiencing hearing live singing. And all of the artists that came, they just poured 2000% into their performances and the energy that was in the space and Mary Pinto on piano just playing like a full-on orchestra. It was so moving. I woke up this morning extremely exhausted but completely full and inspired with what these singers and instrumentalists were able to do. And Damien Snee came in and just played so beautifully. And all of the singers, I'm just excited for you all to experience it and to see it. And so as we get Marsha back in here, I will give y'all a little bit more of a taste of this grande dame, and we'll figure out her technical situation when we get back. All right? See you soon. So we just had to tap dance down the Nile River for a minute until we got Diva Thompson back in the studio. And we're so glad you're back, darling.
Thank you so much. I have no idea what just happened. Whew, okay.
It's okay. We're all apprentices in this new world, I didn't go to school for journalism and hosted nothing.
Okay. And I am not a computer scientist. So there.
So there. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So let's get started, darling. I want you to tell the folks, where is Marsha Thompson from? Where did she grow up? And how did classical music first come into your life?
Well, I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas, and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana. And classical music was always a part of my life. My mom and dad took me to outdoor concerts with the symphony when we lived in Houston.
Yes.
And we lived in Houston for about a year when I was a little girl. And then when we got to Shreveport, I was introduced to classical music because every weekend my parents would make me watch PBS. So I would sit there as a 3-year-old watching the Boston Pop Symphony Orchestra. My dad was trying to teach me how to be quiet and sit still. It was really hard. And so I had to watch PBS, and I watched the Boston Pop Symphony. And one day when I was about 4 and a half, I said to my mom, I said, "What are those people hitting that thing with? What are they hitting it with?" And she said, "That's a bow." And I said, I said, "Well, what is it called?" She said, "Well, that's a violin, and they're playing in an orchestra." I guess it had all started to register in my brain, you know. And I looked at I got really close to the television screen, and I told her, I said, "I can do that." And my mom said, "You can do that?" I said, "Yeah, I can do that." And so she says, "You mean you want to take lessons?" And I said, "You mean someone has to teach me how to do that?" She said, "Yeah." So we started taking violin lessons that fall after I turned 5 years old. And fast forward, I went to a summer music camp in Kansas at the University of Kansas. I was about 16 years old. It was my first time leaving home, and I was away for a month. And everyone had to be in the choir. And they had an audition for the solo piece in Pie Jesu, the Forêt Pie Jesu.
Yes.
And I won one of the solos. But they made me share it with someone who was there for voice that summer, because they said, "Well, we can't give the vocal solo to a violinist, someone who came here to play violin." So I said, "Okay, that's fine." It was no big deal for me because I was just having fun, you know?
Yeah.
So that was my first introduction to my voice, really, to my more operatic, more classical voice, because I had sung in church choirs and everything. So at any rate, that was the introduction. And then when I got to college, one year I was very eccentric. I had a alligator violin case, and my hair was all over my head.
I don't believe it.
And I walked around campus with my Daisy Duke shorts on and my, high heel pumps and everything. It was a mess. And I heard my first voice teacher teaching in his studio, David Brewer. And I knocked on the door and I said, "Hey, I want to learn how to sing." And he said, "Why?" This is how he looked at me. He looked at me from top to bottom. He said, "Why?" He said, "Why do you want to learn how to sing opera?" I said, "Why do you want to learn how to sing?" And I said, "I don't know. I just feel like there's something in me that's crying out to sing." And so I said, "Okay." He said, "That's fine. I will teach you voice." So about 3 months later, after singing "When I'm Laid in Earth," and I think we sang a lot of vocalises and everything, he says, "You're going to be an opera singer." And I said, "Really? You think so? I thought I was coming to take voice lessons. I want to sing like Aretha Franklin." And he said, No, you're going to be an opera singer like Leontine Price." And I said, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
Wait, because I was already in college, and in my mind, all of the stars that I was accustomed to hearing were like the Fritz Chryslers and the Itzhak Perlmans of the world.
Yeah.
And my violin teacher in college was the first woman to ever win the Tchaikovsky violin concerto competition.
Wow.
So the Friedel Lacks of the world, those were the people who were stars in my mind because I was an instrumentalist. So here I am in college and being told that I was going to be an opera singer if I wanted to continue to study voice, that I was not going to be a pop singer.
Right.
So then not too long thereafter, I ended up changing my major to my parents' chagrin because they had just bought me a new violin. And you know how expensive that is.
Mercy.
My parents were so upset with me until they came to my first show, when they came to my first opera, and they said, "Oh, okay, we get it."
And so what was your first opera?
The first opera that I sang in where I had a significant role, I should say. They didn't really come to all of the college operas. I think the first opera where I had a significant role was probably in La Vida Breve.
Oh.
Yes,
wow.
I sang that in college. I was cast in the leading role in La Vida Breve. And my mom and dad came and they said, "Okay, we get it. We get it. You are an opera singer." By that time, I had already started studying with Debria Brown at the University of Houston. Yes. And so I was a double major in violin and voice for quite some time. And then I really primarily started focusing on voice as a mezzo soprano at the time.
Oh my goodness. It's so interesting. A lot of my Black soprano friends who are undeniably sopranos have this story about being mezzos at one time or singing alto in the choir. What do you think that is?
I think most of it is primarily the color of our voices, and also for Debria, and also for David Brewer. I think what it was for me was that they realized that I was starting a little bit later in life, and that they heard the natural color in my voice, and they didn't want to push me too quickly.
Yeah,
they wanted me to sort of get acclimated to the classical vocal mindset, if you will. And so I think that was the reasoning. But that quickly changed. Before I left the University of Houston, I was accepted into the Music Academy of the West.
Santa Barbara.
Yes, and I went there, and I had a lesson with Marilyn Horn, and I vocalized up to a D. And Marilyn says, "Well, if it's that easy for you, then you're not a mezzo." And I said, "Are you sure? I don't want to be a soprano." She said, "No, you're not a mezzo. You're a soprano." I said, "Okay."
Now, why would one not want to be a soprano? Why would you say that to her at that time?
Because I had this sort of earthiness about me that I think was very mezzo-y at the time. And I had this eccentricity about myself. And so it really sort of fit into the mezzo repertoire, the Carmen, the Dalila, all of the pants roles. I loved being a boy.
Listen.
I did. I loved Cherubino, and I loved the Componiste and all of those pants roles, but I was too short. Most people are not looking for a short Componiste,
Hey, Courtney, how are you?
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. Hi there.
Oh my goodness. So listen, what's your family makeup? Are you the only child? Do you have siblings, and are they musical at all? Are your parents musical?
So my mother grew up in the Church of Christ.
Okay.
And in the Church of Christ, there are no instruments. So you have to learn how to harmonize instinctively. And so she and all of her sisters are phenomenal singers, and they understand harmony and blending tone together.
Yeah.
So I think that's where my love of music comes from. My mother's side of the family, and also my dad wanted to be a saxophone player. And so he had aspirations of being a musician, but that wasn't in the cards for him. My dad ended up becoming an engineer for Honeywell, a petrochemical engineer. And then my mom became a nurse. She wanted to be a dancer, actually. She wanted to be a ballet dancer, but she ended up
Uh-huh.
becoming a nurse. So I come from a solidly, professional middle class family, but hardworking.
Yeah,
My parents worked very hard because there were lots of obstacles,
I can
coming out of
imagine.
their parents coming out of the Jim Crow era, and
Mm,
they coming out of the civil rights era, and
yes.
so really working hard to achieve their goals in their chosen professions. So those are my parents, and then I have two sisters. And
Uh-huh.
my sisters are very professional people. They were also classically trained pianists and violinists, but they chose to do other things. So my middle sister is a health law regulatory FDA attorney for a big law firm, and my other sister is a clinical trials project manager. So she manages clinical trials, multi-million-dollar clinical trials. So
Wow.
that's yeah. So I'm sort of the black sheep of the family.
I can
I
relate. I
Hence
can
my
relate.
Black Panther bodysuit.
Yes, indeed. I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah.
love it. So then once you finished college, then what happened? Did you do like what we hear other young singers do? You go to a young artist program and you start doing competitions. How did you bridge education into real life?
Oh, it was so convoluted because I was also transitioning out of being a professional violinist because I played
Okay.
with a lot of regional symphonies in
Yeah.
Southeast Texas and Southwest Louisiana. So I was making money gigging as a violinist, but I knew that I wanted to sing opera. I
Gotcha.
knew that I needed to make that big move. So I had choices. I auditioned for several young artist programs and they
Yeah.
weren't interested. I did do the opera in the neighborhoods with Lyric Opera of Chicago for 2 seasons.
Okay.
However, because I sang Cenerentola and Rosina with them
And so this is still as a mezzo.
as a mezzo.
Okay.
However, they knew that I was transitioning into the soprano repertoire, and they said, "Well, we can't really consider you until you are a soprano, until you are a full-blown soprano." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." So I went to sing the Cenerentola and the Rosina, and they were great opportunities for me to work with a major opera company at the very beginning, but I didn't do their young artist program. And also, there were several other programs I auditioned for, but they were not interested in helping me do the transition. So I had to make my own way. And
Okay.
so this is the thing that, I think about people who sort of complain about the business and this and that. And I never had the backing of a big program.
Hmm.
I never had the backing of big benefactors. And I mean, obviously that is the case for not for a lot of people who transition into big careers in this industry. A lot of them have had the big name institutions, the big name programs, and I sort of had to scrape and scrounge. I
Yes.
went and worked hard at temp jobs and freelance jobs and made my money. And I went and paid for my own voice lessons and paid
Mm,
for all of my competition entry fees. And I worked really, really hard to sing the repertoire and to present myself in a way in which I could win money in the competitions. And those competitions and getting my name out there, that actually became my gateway into the industry, I think. The Orlando opera competition that the Orlando Opera used to do, I won that one year. And so all of those things came together in helping me to build a resume. I've already sung with orchestra. Now I've got to win competitions because I don't have a big young artist program backing me.
yeah.
So I had to just go out there and just make it, just do it. And I
I
made
know
a
that's
decision
right.
to do it. And living in New York, and it has not been the most easy life, but I don't know if I would change anything. I,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would. It would have been easier had I had other young artists, a big young artist program backing my career. But, you know, I feel like the experience has been really rich up to this point. And I've grown as a person as a
Yeah.
result of that experience.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And we're similar in that way, in that I didn't have a big young artist program behind me. I did several other ones, but not like the big six. You know what I mean? And so, like you, I had to scratch and scrounge. And, you know, Marquita Lister taught me very young. She was like, honey, if they close a door, climb through a window. You know, so that's how I figured it out. And, you know, it's paid off, and it's made me pretty darn resilient in regards to this career. So if things don't go right or my way, I don't crumble, because I know how to make it work in another way.
Right. And that has been me too. You know, I adopted another profession during the recession, and I went back to school for medical device sales. And I still work in that industry. When I have to sing, when I'm on my phone at auditions or something, sometimes I'm texting a doctor, you know, because I still do that work. I work with a knee injection company, and we do regenerative biologics to help people regrow their knee cartilage. And that's what I do.
Hold up. Because now you speak in a language I don't understand at all. So where does that part of your brain kick in? So you've got violinist, you've got opera singer. Now that's almost like Jekyll and Hyde, you know, because string players and singers, we're not that similar outside of the fact that we're both musicians. But then you throw in this scientific aspect of it. And that was honestly my worst subject in school. I hated science. How did you become interested in that and are able to combine all of these things?
Well, my mother is a nurse. And I said, you know, if I'm not going to, because during the recession, you know, people were losing contracts just like they're losing contracts right now, right? So I said, well, I need to make some tough decisions. And I decided that I wanted to go back to school. I said, I'm not going back to school to become a practitioner, but I'm going back to school so that I can work in the medical field adjacent to practitioners, because I wanted to make money. You know, I like nice jewelry.
I tell people that all the time. I like nice things. So I have to work.
I like pretty hair. So I have to work so I can pay for my addictions, you know. And opera, by the way, is an addiction, because you got to have the lessons, the coachings, the gowns, the makeup, you know. So that has its own, for women especially, it has its own addiction component. So I went back to school for orthopedic, medical devices, and regenerative biologics.
I've already failed out just from you saying that. I have failed. I have failed.
So long story short, I don't want to get too technical and scientific, but long story short, I work with doctors to help them implement a knee injection protocol in their practices so they can make money, but also so their patients don't have to have knee replacement surgery. So I do that. And I also do a little consulting with a few other companies as well. So, but that's my other life. So
that's right.
Medicine, and this is what a lot of people, so medicine used to be called the medical arts, right? So it used to be called the medical arts. So I always think of myself as working in the medical arts and the musical arts. And there is a melding there, because in order to really understand the intricacies of the human body, if you look at the old Netters, there's a man named Netter a few hundred years ago who started dissecting the human body and drawing the map of our veins and our arteries and all of our organs and our skeletal system. So a lot of the people who go to medical school use the Netters and the Netters book for the human anatomy, Netter's Anatomy. And I had to buy all of those books. So my time in school was basically the first semester orthopedic residency, basically. And so we had to do surgery on the fake bones and everything. We had to do all of that.
Oh.
And yeah, so when my mom, so I was, I know, I know. So because when I first decided to do it, I didn't really know what it fully entailed. So I said, Mom, I said, I watched a video of a hip replacement surgery on YouTube. And I said, I could not listen to the drill. I couldn't listen to it. And she said, you can't think about it like that. She said, you have to think about it as though you are helping the doctor help someone get better. And you're helping them to improve their quality of life. And when I started thinking of it like that, that helped me get through all of the, seeing all the blood and everything.
Girl, you can have it.
I know, but I love it. I love work. First of all, I love working with smart people. And I have to say this, a lot of singers are smart people, but our profession sometimes doesn't necessarily treat us like we're smart people.
Right.
But most singers I know are highly intelligent individuals, highly functioning individuals, and most singers could leave this profession and go do something and be really good at it.
Yeah.
Whatever they choose to do, because there are so many highly intelligent people who are classical vocal singers. So the fact that we don't do it is just because we haven't chosen to do that. Mm-hmm. That's the only difference between you and a doctor, Kenneth, is that you didn't decide to go to school to be a doctor. That wasn't what you were drawn to. But if you really wanted to do it, you could do it. You know what I'm saying?
I almost went to law school.
See?
That was my thing. But then, the singing bug hit me, and I saw Jesse Norman when I was 15. And then, so that was it. That was it. And plus, I'm not really a fan of being in school, like going to the same classes at the same time every day, seeing the same teacher in the same, that bores me to tears.
Yeah, I understand.
I need variety and spice and different cultures and folks and all of that. But this pandemic, child, I may go back to somebody's school.
See? Listen, I was talking to a famous opera diva. I'll just put it like that. And I saw a post on her page.
Yeah.
And I sent her a private message.
Yeah.
And I said, what are you going to do? And she said to me, I'm thinking about going to school for X. And I said, don't do that. I want you to consider going to school and getting an MBA. And here's a school that you can go to for free if you get in. I sent her a link. And the name of that is Quantix. It's the Quantix MBA. It's the Google Amazon MBA, and it's all online. And if you're accepted into the program, it's free. And it's a year-long program. And so I suggested that she do that. And I said, and you can get a job working using this degree. But when the opera industry does come back full force, I want to beg you. I said, I want to ask you to please go be an administrator, go be an artistic administrator, go be a general director. No, this person that I spoke to, that I sent the message to. I asked her, I said, because we need singers who like singers, who love the business, to become artistic administrators.
Absolutely.
And so I asked her, I said, whatever you choose to do, I hope that this person specifically uses everything that she has to come back into the business on the business side.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was.
I do think the business is starved for administrators who are singers or have been singers, but have gotten that sort of out of their blood so that they don't become bitter administrators and nasty administrators who make singers' lives hell, because we have enough of that. We have enough of that. And so I think it's a fine balance between arts and arts administration. It's something that I'm interested in, and people have been calling and inquiring.
Of course they have.
But We'll see. We'll see. I still got
Yeah.
about a few years of selfish stage time that I need to get out of my system
Yes.
first before, we can do something like that. And so speaking of stage,
Mm.
when I was reading your bio and knowing what I know of you and us having worked together a few times, your repertoire is quite varied.
It is.
There's Puccini, there's Verdi. You tiptoed over into Wagner. We sang Mozart Requiem together. We did,
Mhm.
Aida together. So, what goes into you making the decision on what to sing and when?
That is a good question. So I will say this. When I go to my voice lessons,
Yeah.
I've always known what I want my voice to sound like
Okay.
and who I am as a vocalist and what it is that I need to achieve in my lessons. Where what I need to achieve in my lessons with regard to um, the things that I need to work on, the technical things I need to work on.
Yeah.
And so I will walk into a lesson and I'll say, well, not walking anymore. I'll go to my Zoom lesson with Gregory Lamar.
There he is.
And
Hi,
I said,
Gregory.
oh, hi, Gregory. There he is, Maestro Lamar. Yes. I will go to my Zoom meeting, my Zoom lesson with Maestro Lamar. And sometimes we even chat about it a couple of days before the lesson. And I'll say, Maestro, I really want to work on this passage in this aria, or I
Yeah.
really want to work on this aspect of my voice, crescendo decrescendo. I want to work on the threading of the breath in this phrase and whatever the case may be. So
Right.
then when I get a call for a certain piece, like the Mozart Requiem, because, I was called for Mozart twice that year, Mozart Oratorio twice that year that we did
Yeah.
the Requiem together. And I've never been called to sing Mozart since I was a mezzo.
Wow.
So yeah, so I was excited to sing Mozart because, like you said, Mozart will keep the voice true. It will keep the voice, it
Listen,
will keep the voice honest.
he will expose you for
He
the
will.
fraud that you are trying to be. You will be exposed.
Yes. And so I took those Mozart pieces to my lesson, and we just drilled down in there and took every little piece of those works apart and
Yeah.
put it into my throat the way that it needs to be put into my throat.
Yeah.
And that's what we do in our lessons. And Maestro Lamar is not only a voice teacher, but it's a voice lesson and a coaching all in one for me. And so, because he's a wonderful pianist, he can play the piano. So when I go, he teaches the voice, but he also knows exactly what kind of nuance there needs to be for my voice within the context of a certain piece. Because the
Yeah.
way that I would sing Mozart or need to approach Mozart is going to be different from someone who is a lighter lyric soprano, for instance,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So at any rate, that's how I don't really choose my repertoire. If someone calls me and says we're interested in you singing this, then I talk it over with my team,
Yeah.
and I
Say that,
talk.
say that again. I try to impress upon the
Mhm.
importance of having a team. And
Yeah,
the team is not necessarily about people who kiss your ass and tell you you're great all the time.
well
The
they
team
can.
the team is there to be like, no, this note was out of whack, that note
Ooh,
was out of whack.
ooh,
This was
ooh,
good, but it could be better. You need to snatch that up.
ooh,
These heels don't work with this dress, and these
oh,
the
yes.
team, like for
all
real.
of that all of that because I'll just tell you the story. I don't know if I've ever recounted this story, but the first time I had decided, after having been with another teacher for almost 10 years, I decided that I needed something else.
Okay.
And I said, there's only one teacher that I can call, and I've heard his name for years, so let me just go ahead and call him. And so I called Gregory. And Gregory still talks about me to this day. And I said, well, I don't study with teachers who can't sing. I did. I did. I said, I can't, I don't study with teachers who can't sing. And he says, well, I can sing, diva. And he says, you will have to come to a lesson first before you find out for yourself. And I said, okay, that's fair. So I went to a lesson, and not only could he sing, he could sing better than I could.
Right. We were working on the second act of Traviata a few weeks ago, and he was singing all of Violetta's lines, and so I was just like, "Oh my, okay."
Well, listen. So I walked into that first lesson, and he says, "Well, I must say, I've listened to some of your videos and recordings online, and this is what I heard." And then he went down his list of what he heard and what we needed to work on. And we started working, and we were doing all of this humming and doing the little small, very intricate exercises.
Yep.
And my face was so cracked in a million different pieces. Crack, 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 crack. And on the floor, because, I walked in thinking, he's going to teach me how to float. That's it. That's all I need. I just need him to teach me how to float. And he said, no. You need a little bit more than that. And so we took the time and we worked through all of the intricacies that I needed in order to be a better singer. And I'm still working on it, because I'm one of those people.
It never ends. It never ends.
No, it never ends. I'm one of those people who firmly believes that we are always shepherding our instrument. And I need someone who understands that is what I want from them in the studio, and that I need a teacher who is going to be brutally honest with me, because I'm brutally honest with myself. And so I never quite understand singers who can hear themselves sing and then not be honest with what they hear. That doesn't register with me. I don't get that.
Thank you, Lexi. Alexandra, Lexi, my darling, that is the truth. That is the truth. Take the time.
Hi, Alexandra.
Learning
it's not a weekend seminar. No.
Listen, say that again. It's not a weekend. These folks out here wanting a quick fix, a magic potion, a voila, and pull the rabbit out of the hat. No, sir, no, ma'am.
No. Well, and let me say this, and piggybacking off of what you just said, this is why, and this is my own personal belief, and I've shared this with you. This is why I really don't like master classes. Because a lot of times when people are going to a master class, that person listening to you and giving you advice about your voice is just hearing you for the first time.
Yep.
They don't know if you have health issues. They don't know if you're going through something emotional in that moment. They don't know you well enough to ascertain any of the intricacies that a teacher who knows you will be able to ascertain when you walk in the door. Because I know I've walked in the door sometimes to voice lessons, and Gregory says, "What's going on? What's going on with you today, diva?"
Yep.
And I'm just like, "You can tell what's going on with me?" He says, "Yeah, I can tell." So then I have to just, it's because sometimes it's good to let it out before you sing too.
Listen,
you got to get, because everything is connected to our voice, and I'm not an overly emotional person. But sometimes if you're holding those emotions in, it affects your singing. So
absolutely.
you have to get it. You have to purge, So
people ask me if I teach or will I teach, and I always say, no, not now. No, because I just believe it takes such a special, patient, brilliant person to be a teacher, because you have the care of someone's gift in your hands. And I know what I put Gregory Lamar through in my lessons, and I don't want nobody putting me through that. So
speaking of which, when we had to sing our Aida together, your first Amanazaro,
my first one,
you did a wonderful job. Congratulations again. And I'm sure it will be the first of many. But I remember, I was there, and you were just looking at the score like, okay. And I said, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just let go, because you can't overthink it, because when you're learning a role, you just can't You can't overthink it. You just have to go with the flow of where your voice is taking you through that process, you know?
Yeah.
And you obviously you were fine.
Yeah, and I'm all about letting it go. You know, once I digest all of Gregory's notes and remembering what we talked about and what we did and listening to lessons and stuff, once I get that in my brain and in my body, once I'm on stage, it goes away and I just become whoever it is that I've become. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you do. You do. Well, I wanted to. So, can we? I don't know what you want to talk about, but I want to talk about your film that you're
Me?
working on, Black
Oh,
Opera.
well,
We can talk about you. We can talk about me. We can talk about anything.
this is all about you. This is all
Oh,
about
it's
you
about you.
because
Okay.
there's so many things that I wanted to talk about with you that don't get talked about.
Oh.
And one of the things is women's health in regards to their singing and how that's navigated. Because people honestly believe that what we do as human beings, as singers, is all glitz and glamour, and that it's gowns and hair and lashes and heels and costumes and bouquets of flowers. But women have so many extra layers that they have to deal with that immediately affect the vocal apparatus. And so you had some serious health concerns that you first of all handled brilliantly and heroically. And I wonder if you could share not just about what they were, but how you overcame them to get back to top form.
Well, it was a journey. It was a journey of going to a physician who basically wanted to experiment on me, and I would not allow her to do that. I had two procedures. I had what is called a myomectomy for uterine fibroid tumors, where they try to remove it from the wall of the uterus, but it's very difficult for them to do it if it's embedded in the wall of the uterus.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had what is called uterine fibroid embolization, where they go up through your groin, through a vein in your groin area. They snake up there and they cut off the blood supply to the tumors so that they die.
Yes.
Both procedures for me, were unsuccessful. They did help a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately, when you are genetically predisposed to uterine fibroid tumors, like lots of African American women are, lots of women of African descent are, when you're predisposed to uterine fibroid tumors, they continue to grow back, or there are always these little ones in there that they can't ever get.
Yeah.
And so many women are suffering from female reproductive issues. So an added, how should I say, stressor on top of that to perform at a very, very, very high level as an opera singer, when you have these aliens inside of you literally sucking the oxygen out of your blood, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They feed off of the blood and they deplete the oxygen in your blood through causing you to be anemic.
Yeah.
I was at my wit's end. And so I finally decided that I had held on to my uterus long enough. I had waited for Mr. Perfect Right long enough, and that I wasn't going to have a baby, and not a biological child, not in that way. And I made peace with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I called a new doctor at NYU and I said, I'm ready. We had discussed it a year prior to, not even a whole year prior to the date in which I started, when I decided to actually have the bilateral salpingo hysterectomy, which is where they take your tubes and they take your uterus, but they leave the cervix and the ovaries. Okay. The reason why I'm so open about this is because
I believe that people should be. I believe that knowledge is power.
Yes. Yes.
And disease wins when we shower with shame.
Yep. That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yep, yep. And Michelle Obama made reference to that when she
Yes.
was still first lady, or right after she was no longer first lady. She said, you know, women really lose out when we don't share our stories, because we need to know that we're not the only ones going through what we're going through. And
Right.
so, you know what I did? I got on Messenger and I started messaging other opera singers saying, hey, do you know someone who knows someone who had a hysterectomy? Hey, what was your experience? And and even, another singer that I did a gig with, we were sort of in the corner whispering about it, like, really? That was your experience? Oh my God, I'm thinking about doing it too. You feel better now? Oh, you singing better now? Wow. Okay, well, maybe I should do it too. And so when I had the procedure and I made the big post on Facebook,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were shocked, and they were just like, oh my God, I cannot believe she just posted that on Facebook. But I did it because it was so cathartic.
Yes.
And it's still up. And Christine Gerke commented on my post.
Yeah.
And she said, thank you, thank you, thank you. She said, no more taboo, because I was in the same boat a year ago.
Wow.
And here we are with a world famous opera singer who doesn't want to tell anybody. She doesn't want to tell her agent. Doesn't want to talk to anybody about it, because she's afraid of how she will be treated. Like, oh, you're having major surgery. Are you still going to be able to sing?
Right.
Oh, you don't want anyone's attitude about you to change because you're making this life decision.
Yeah.
And I want to circle this back to Chadwick Boseman about his cancer, because he dealt with that, because he knew that if people knew that he was terminally ill, I wasn't terminally ill, but it was definitely affecting my ability to do my job the way that I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if people had known what kind of allowances they would have made for him, and sort of tiptoed around him, tiptoeing around his illness,
Yeah.
And he just says, no, I'm just going to confront this head on, and I'm going to sing or act and do what I need to do. And that's really what I did until the very end. And at the very end, when everything was said and done, and I made the announcement, I had several men reach out to me via Messenger and say, oh my gosh, I had no idea. My wife is going through the same thing. Thank you for posting about that.
Wow.
I had women reach out to me. I'm so glad you posted this. Thank you so much. No more taboo. And the way that I handled the anemia and everything was so, honestly, the doctor said to me at one point, she said, you were so anemic. She said, you could have had a heart attack. Who knew that anemia and heart attack were correlated? There was a correlation between the two. Who knew that? I didn't know. And so she said, have you been passing out on the subway platform? I said, no, I haven't been passing out. I said, and on those days, I typically stay at home. And she said, I'm really surprised that you haven't passed out in public somewhere. She said, you were that anemic. So it's difficult to sing when you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain.
Right. Exactly.
And I actually had some moments where I forgot words, and I don't forget words, but I would forget words. I was singing Cacella Notte Placida in an audition, and I forgot the words. But I realized I forgot the words because I had no oxygen going to my brain. Wow. It wasn't because I was being unprofessional or anything like that. I just wasn't in the best possible health. So I had to address the problem, and I had to get it done. And as a result of that, I reached out to Ms. Gerke and I said, do you think we should have a group for opera singers, for female opera singers?
Yeah.
And she said, absolutely, absolutely, we need a group. She said, do a group. So I have a group. It is a group of about 600 opera singers from all over the world. All races and creeds are in the group of every opera singer in the world. It's really quite amazing.
That's
All
fantastic.
backgrounds, all age groups, but only opera singers. No agents, no casting directors,
Right.
no stage directors. Only
You have to
singers.
have the singers have to have a safe space to discuss that. I mean, it's
Yes, yes, we do. And we need to chronicle all of these things because literally there are so many things that female opera singers encounter with our reproductive health that we need a singer, we need something that chronicles the experiences of other people so we can go back into that those expressions and look to see what someone else's experience is,
yeah,
because other people coming behind us will need to have that resource.
absolutely.
And so that's why I did it. It's private. I can't
Yeah,
tell you the name of the group.
right.
But any woman who is currently pursuing an opera career and is in school in the process of becoming an opera singer or in the process of having a professional career is welcome to join the group by invitation only. So it has to be someone who's in the group who knows how to find the group to invite you to the group, or you can
Right.
message me directly.
Fantastic. Thank you for
Yeah,
that. And I
yeah.
think, knowledge is power, and there's power in numbers. So good for you
Mhm.
for doing that and for speaking your truth and being so public about what you were going through, because a lot of people do suffer in silence.
Suffer for no reason.
Yeah.
There's no reason for anyone to continue to suffer in silence. And that's why, I mean, I don't have a lot of secrets. I should have more secrets. There are some people who are who are very secretive. I'm not a
Listen,
very secretive person.
my
So
grandmama says some things are just between you and God. Don't tell everybody everything.
I don't know. I don't tell everybody everything, of course, but that's one thing that I could not contain as a secret. As a singer,
Absolutely.
I knew there were other women who needed to have access to
Yes,
to a group of women with shared experiences in our industry.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So do you remember how your singing was before, and then how has it changed after, and how long did it take you to get back into working order?
What has changed with my singing is that I feel that I have more stamina.
Okay.
I have much more stamina because I'm no longer anemic. It has changed from me not having to always think about um, how I'm going to get through a performance if I am having a bad menstrual cycle day. I no longer have to think about that. I no
Yeah.
longer have to think about taking lots of medication because of cramps.
Hmm.
So that's very important to me with regard to my quality of life.
Yes.
And I needed, for my own peace of mind, I needed that quality of life element to my singing. I
Yeah.
needed that because it helps me to be a better artist. And
Absolutely.
so I had my surgery August 26, 2019, last August.
Yeah.
So it has now officially been 1 year. And I feel like I have a new lease on life. It took me about, and when we sang together in St. Louis at that concert last October, I
Yes.
was still in the healing process. I was still, coming back. But by that point, I was really starting to feel like a new person. And the joy and the clarity. I mean, because when you're anemic like that, you also have a lot of brain fog.
Mm.
And the clarity of thought just for regular everyday tasks was so refreshing for me.
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I have the story to tell so that I can help
Yeah.
other women in the industry. But I'm also grateful that my story happened the way that it happened and that it all culminated with
Yeah.
all of the opportunities in singing that were coming my way before COVID.
Right. Now, speaking of COVID, shady COVID.
Yes. Oh.
So, when did you leave New York to go to Texas, and was it because of COVID? And when do you see yourself coming back?
Oh, Kenny. So I haven't announced this on Facebook, but there was a fire in my building about 7 weeks ago, six,
Oh my
7,
God.
8 weeks ago.
In Harlem?
In Harlem, there was a fire in my building, and my apartment was destroyed by the water damage that put out the fire.
Oh,
It was an apartment 2 floors above mine. So that's really the main reason why I haven't been back to New York, because my niece is back in nursery school. Her nursery school has contact tracing. The teachers wear masks. They disinfect twice a day. So I did not go back to New York because I have nowhere to go at the moment.
wow.
Yeah. So when I was singing Aida, or preparing to sing Aida at Teatro Municipal in São Paulo, Brazil, when they postponed our show, about 2 weeks before that, my sister texted me and she said, it looks like this virus, this pandemic is potentially going to get out of control. She says, are you going back to New York? And I said, no. I said, I was actually going to text you to see if I could come to your house, because I don't think the situation in New York is going to be sustainable. And she said, okay, well, come here and help me with my baby, because she's got a lot of work. Her husband's working. And I said, I would love to come to your house and stay with you and spend some time with my niece. So that's what I did. So this whole time, up until about a month ago, I was potty training a 2-year-old. I was doing circle time, teaching her alphabets and numbers, and we had a great time. And I feel very honored and privileged to have had that time with my niece. But I will be leaving my sister's house this Friday, actually, and going to stay with my parents until I leave my parents' house and go to a gig that I have with the Lead Society in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And we will be debuting a new Anthony Davis piece. Yeah. So I'm very excited. I'm singing on a concert with the Lead Society with Thomas Cannon, Rayon Bryce, and Jay Warren. And Byron Sean will be our pianist.
Fantastic.
And so I'm very excited about that. So I will stay with my parents until I leave to go to Minneapolis. And then I will return to New York. Hopefully by then my apartment will be done, will be renovated.
So we need to put the positive energy out into the universe and let the village do what it needs to do. Yeah. Are there things that you need to help get yourself back up and going in New York? Like, you know, you have renter's insurance and replacing clothes and all that, because that we have to do that.
Oh, thank you. Well, guess what?
A closed mouth does not get fed. And so the things that you need to make it plain and make it clear. You know what I mean?
Okay, so thank you. Thank you so much.
You think about it. And before this is over, Marsha needs X, Y, and Z, and then the village will get to work.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. I appreciate you saying that. I thank you so much. And as of now, I'm fine, because my personal effects were mostly spared. So I feel very fortunate. And I do have someone taking care of everything for me in New York. So I feel very fortunate and blessed.
Good.
You know, even though the situation was dire when I first received the call.
Oh, I can't imagine. Listen, I had a situation last year where the apartment above me was flooding, and it flooded all the way down into my apartment. And praise the Lord, the insurance covered everything. And when it was all being fixed, I was away at San Francisco Opera for 8 weeks. And so I came home to like a brand new apartment pretty much.
Thank goodness.
But
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping to walk into my apartment and go, oh. Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yes.
So I'm
So
very hopeful about that. Yes.
now, when we talked about this interview, you said you wanted to have fun, and you said that I could ask you whatever you wanted, and that if you didn't want to talk about it, you would steer it somewhere else.
Okay.
So, being the budding journalist that I am,
Ooh. Let me gird my loins.
no, no, this is stuff that you and I have talked about before, so
Okay.
it's nothing that should shock you. So,
Okay.
can we talk about the men, please, in dating and being a career woman, and like what does a gorgeous Black woman who is brilliant on this side of the brain and musically gifted on that side of the brain and physically and aesthetically gorgeous, how does a man woo a Marsha Thompson and be successful with it? Tell the folks, tell the children.
You know what, Kenneth? I'm gonna get you after this.
Well, have we not talked about this?
Yes, we have. And let me just say this. First of all, I'm so overjoyed for the ladies who are married and have children. I applaud them, like the Kirsten Piper Browns and the, oh my God, the Andy Moores. And I'm just like, how did they do it? And they do their gigs and they have the babies and then they have the nerve to post all of these fabulous dinners and meals they're putting together. I'm just like, oh God. And so, hi, Tiffany. She said, talk about our time in Italy. Oh my God. And so, so for me, you know, I was on a dating spree back in my 30s, my early 30s. Now that I'm in my mid 30s, I don't know, but I was on a dating spree, and I must say that in New York City, for me, I was not meeting the kind of men that wanted to build a partnership,
Mm-hmm.
a loving marriage.
Yep.
And I've heard different things from different men, like, oh, you should do your hair differently. You should wear your clothes differently. You should do this differently. And I just feel like it's going to be a very special person who is going to be interested in me and my personality and the fact that I sing opera and the fact that I love science.
Right.
It's going to be a very special person who can appreciate all of those things about me. And my mom is so funny. She says, don't worry. She says, God's just going to melt him and pour him right in your bosom. So I'm not worried about it, but I look for a man of substance, a man who is emotionally mature, has a high emotional intelligence, and also is just an intelligent individual, period. That's what I want in a man that I'm going to be with.
Right.
And have to wake up to.
And don't settle.
And yeah, and I haven't. And I feel like I've made the right decision for me in not settling.
Absolutely.
And because I know so many people who are married who look at my life and think, oh, I want to be joyous and single and have freedom.
Right.
So people want the life that they see me having, but they don't know what I've been through to have this life.
Hello.
So it's a coin toss.
Yeah.
Because for me, unless I adopt, I'm not going to have any children. And so I won't be able to have, the graduations and all of that. But guess what? I'm a fabulous auntie. And so
I'm the best
love being an auntie.
Listen, I am the best uncle and godfather in the world. And it is the job, it is the privilege of my life to be able to spoil them and love on them and then go home.
Yeah. And it's okay. And I realized someone asked me, well, you must really regret the fact that you might not have children. And I said, you know what? My consolation is that I get to take naps. I love taking naps. I love having extra time to study my music. whatever projects I'm working on, I have time to do that. I don't have to fit it. But what I do know about being a parent, and I did experience a little bit of this taking care of my niece, is that what it does do is it makes you prioritize and it makes you highly efficient.
Yes.
So whatever you do want to accomplish, you must be highly efficient about it.
Absolutely.
You don't have time to take naps. Like Andrea Jones Sojola, she's highly efficient.
Yes.
So yeah. So that's the whole man conversation. That's the whole man.
Yeah. See, that wasn't too painful, was it?
No, it wasn't. I had to really think about that though. Think about without getting too deep into details,
Right. We'll save that for when we're not COVID bound and can talk in person and in private.
Yes. So what else?
What else? I want the folks to know, what does Marsha Thompson do in her spare time, hobbies, when she doesn't have to sing, when she doesn't have to work and she's not being scientific? What is a typical day in the life of Marsha Thompson? What does she do? What is she like?
Well, you know what? When I was in New York, a typical day in the life for me would be going to support my friends who are performing. I love supporting my friends who have performances in New York.
Yeah.
I love supporting other artists. I love going to see them perform. I can't. Robert. Hi, Robert. And so I like to do that. That's one of my hobbies, going to see my friends perform. One of my other hobbies is I like to take long walks and exercise, do my Pilates. I have hair in my mouth. Hold on. And so I like doing that. And I also love my solitude.
Yeah.
I'm a people person, but I'm the kind of people person who needs time to regroup and refresh. So I like to hit the refresh button and have my private time and do online shopping, do online reading. Last week, or was it last week? Yes, last week, I took an FDA course for COVID. I took an FDA Food and Drug Law course for COVID.
So you can be certified to be
so that I can learn what the legal ramifications are for rapid COVID testing.
Okay.
Because I have a client who has a rapid COVID test.
Yeah.
So I love business. So I feel like business is my other life, but it's also my hobby.
Okay.
So I do work cultivating my business relationships and reaching out to doctors and physicians and also consulting this COVID rapid testing company that I'm consulting for. So those are the things that I do in my free time, and it doesn't sound exciting, but I have fun. I have fun with my own company in my own time. But I do like to read, but I'm not the kind of person who will pick up a novel. I used to read novels and lots of books, but I don't do that as much as I could anymore. I love periodicals. I like getting a lot of information in a small little snippet. So I like to read essays. I love the New Yorker. I love the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. I will read the Wall Street Journal, although it's not always my favorite publication, but I like to know what's going on with regard to the banking and finance industry. So those are the things that I do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, I want to share another fantastic clip of this diva so that you can just get another little taste, so that when Rona releases us and you find out that Marsha Thompson is in your town performing, you grab a ticket and you take yourself and you go to the theater, because she's fabulous and it is so, so worth it. And we'll be right back. Girl, you better go on and sing. That was
Thank you.
stunning.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. I'm very excited about our talk. And is there anything else you want to ask me?
Well, if the fans out there have questions, just put them in the chat and I'll see them. We can ask her. But yes, there are other things that I want to ask you. So,
There was one question from Robert Sims.
what did he ask? What's up, Sims?
I thought he asked something. He said, talk about the Zeffirelli Aida that I did
Ah,
in
yes.
Italy. Oh, that was, and so, I mean, I don't know if you want me to speak to that, but what do you want to ask? Did you have something you want to ask?
It was something similar. It was along the lines of who are your operatic influences? Who do you like to watch? Who do you like to listen to? And then the second part is of the roles that you are currently doing, which one or ones are your favorites?
Well, honestly, I feel that my trajectory as a singer was very similar to that of, from a vocal perspective, very similar to that of Miss Shirley Barrett, because she sang all of the coloratura mezzo soprano roles, and then she transitioned into some of the soprano repertoire. And basically, all of the soprano repertoire that she sings is what I will probably sing. And of course, other things, because hi Diva Hope Briggs. And I will probably sing those things as well. And Miss Anastasia Bain, I will probably sing those things as well, in addition to other things, because I'm probably a truer soprano, if I can say it like that. I mean, she obviously was a mezzo soprano, but she was a soprano mezzo.
But see,
And
and her soprano repertoire was so exciting. It was like the Lady Macbeths, and then
yes,
she sang Desdemona, and she
yes,
sang Tosca, and
yes,
all the things that I think you would do
yes,
brilliantly. And I think
yes.
I have to say this: I want you to receive the energy of Salome into your life because I think that you would be an incredible Salome. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Well, to speak to that, Maestro Lamar and I have talked about Salome, and my agent wants me to learn Salome, and I have looked at Salome. So I will be singing that at some point.
Uh-huh.
So that is in the repertoire. The only roles right now, I am set in my mind to sing almost anything except for Brunhilde, Turandot, Electra. There are only a few roles that I'm not going to sing, but I want to sing Wagner. I want to sing Strauss.
Well, what is it about Wagner and Strauss that you're attracted to?
Oh, well, first of all, for Strauss, I love the density and the sweeping flow of the orchestration. Strauss, for me, is more difficult than Wagner, because Strauss, for his time, was new music.
Mm-hmm.
He was the new music of his era. And so, yes, Senta is on the list as well. Thank you. And so, about Strauss is that for the soprano voice, his lyric writing was it required such seamless approach to your technique. Your technique has to have this seamless line. You need to be able to draw out a phrase. And so at this point in my career, I want to sing all of the Fioritura. I want to sing the Abigail. I want to sing the Lady Macbeth. But I also want to stretch myself to be able to sing those beautiful, long Straussian lines. And I have sung a lot of Strauss songs. And I'm looking at several Strauss roles right now. Chrysothemis is a role that I'm learning. And an aria that I'm learning. I've also looked at Zweite Brautnacht, which we all love.
Ooh, I want
I
to sing
love
that.
You want to? I know
I
you
want
do.
to sing Zweite Brautnacht.
Wait. Okay, so wait. A lot of people don't know this, but Kenny, you and I used to be roommates.
Yes, we did.
We were roommates for about a year.
Wow.
And one night you were in the kitchen baking a cake. And this is you baking a cake. You were like, "Ooh, ooh." And my mom said to me she was on the phone. My mother said, "Is that Leontine Price singing in the background?" And I was like, what did she just say? She never told me I sounded like Leontine. I was so done.
I
My
think
mother said, "Is that Leontine in the background?"
I think I was singing Kilbo Sonio in the
Yeah,
background.
you were.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what, you had that beautiful.
And guess what? That was at least probably 12 years ago. I can't do that anymore. Those days are gone. My chords are like, sorry, sir, we're not singing high C's like that anymore. So, but yeah,
You did. You pulled the tone, honey. My mom was so impressed. I was just like, here's me. I'm on the phone with my mom, like, really? Mm. But yeah, so speaking of Leontine Price, you have that Pricean falsetto in you. So I'm sure you could sing a beautiful Zweite Brautnacht.
oh my gosh.
So I am looking at all of those roles, the Strauss and
Yeah.
whatever he writes. That's what I'm looking at. People have suggested Ariadne auf Naxos. People have suggested Arabella, but there are so many hours in the day, so I have to choose to look at. I do sing. I do sing Die Störche I do sing. I have looked at Elizabeth, and of course I've sung Sieglinde, and
Yeah.
that is a Wagner role that I will hopefully do again because once you learn it,
Yeah.
once you learn it and get it into your body, then it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to publicly thank you for donating to the film that I'm working on. And it was so kind of you. And I just wanted to let you know from me and my team that we're so incredibly appreciative of what you did for us because, we were asking folks for money in December, which is the hardest month to ask anybody for anything, with the holidays and Giving Tuesday and, folks are stressed. But you were one of many, 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 many friends and colleagues that came through for us. And I just wanted to thank you publicly.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And if you need more money, I actually thought the other day, I wonder if they need more money. I want to give you more money.
Listen,
because when I saw your name connected to the film, my first thought was it's going to be done well. And that's why I gave money. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I've been learning so much. Like this past weekend, it was the first time I've ever been on a film set where they're, filming things and not being the person being filmed. And so being on the other side of the camera and the crew, they were so great. And they would ask my opinion. Like, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And then I would give my answer and they would accept my answer and do it. And I was like, well, I kind of like this a little bit. Hold up. So being a part of something like that is incredible. I remember a moment when Janae Bridges was singing just so beautifully. And we did another take and we were sharing ideas about what happened and what we wanted to, fix and alter. And I would translate that musical language to the film crew who, don't speak in our language. And so I think it's important to have somebody like that on both sides of the screen so that there's this sort of free flowing knowledge and I think it makes the whole situation better. So I'm learning. I'm excited.
I am too. I can't wait to see this project. Do you all have a release date?
Not a release date for the project yet because COVID messed around with our release date, and but we're working around that, and we've got plan B and C in our pockets, and so we're very excited. It's still pushing forward, and the thing is, it's been Grace Bumbry and Simon Estes and George Shirley and Martina Arroyo that have been pushing us because they want to do more, and they have made themselves completely accessible and available to us. And
oh my God, it's an important project. It's an important project that has to be done, and I'm just sad that there are certain other people who are not here to be a part of your project. You know,
Yeah.
they have preceded us in death.
Yes.
And but I have a feeling that they would have wanted to be a part of this project.
Well, and see, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why we kept Miss Norman as a part of this project, because she was going to be involved when she was still with us. And one of the unique things about the project is that we wanted to talk to them while they're still here. And we wanted to get their stories firsthand from their mouths, sort of not like us telling their stories. We're letting them tell their stories. And so that was one of the reasons why we wanted to do this celebration for her birthday in 2 weeks.
You have to, you must. I spent hours and hours and hours listening to Madame Norman in the listening lab in college, hours upon hours. And she and Leontine Price and Shirley Verrett and Martina Arroyo, all four of them were great inspirations to me throughout my careers and my learning process and the ongoing learning process and hopefully subsequent career. So, you know, I'm just really thrilled that you guys are doing it. So, yay.
Me too. So, as is becoming my custom with my guests, I'm taking a page out of James Lipton's Inside the Actor's Studio, where he asks the same 10 questions at the end of the interview of every guest.
Oh, I hope I'm fast enough. Okay, let's see.
No, it doesn't have to be fast. It just has to be honest.
Oh, okay.
So, the first question is, what is your favorite word?
Can I have two?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, my favorite word is perseverance.
I love that.
My favorite word is perseverance. And the reason why is because that's what I think my testimony is. My testimony in life is to show people what it means to persevere in the wake of all and any obstacles, in the wake of, you know, whatever I'm going through in life.
Yeah.
Whether it's a joyous moment or not, or regardless of who you're dealing with in the room, whether or not it's, you know, in our industry, we encounter people who may be difficult to work with. And I want to be known within myself as being able to persevere through those moments with those personality types, but also to be an example of perseverance and to you know, to live that and I live my perseverance in faith. So, but yes, perseverance.
Okay. So, question number 2, what is your least favorite word?
Ooh, my least favorite word. Well, the first thing that came to my mind is not a word, but it's a phrase that is often used to describe people. It's down to earth. It's one of my least favorite phrases. And the reason why is because what's wrong with the clouds? What's wrong with the sky? What's wrong with rising above all limits? You know, the earth, the terra firma is wonderful. We need the earth, but we also need the air and the clouds and the sky. We need to be able to expand our minds and our existence beyond earth.
Wow.
And so I think that's one of my least favorite phrases, but not.
That's amazing.
Yeah, down
That's
to
amazing.
earth.
Thank you for that. So, what turns you on?
What turns me on? Ooh. What makes me happy? You mean?
Yeah.
What turns me on? What turns me on is,
What
uh,
excites you? What gets you going?
you know, what makes me excited when I'm doing a musical gig with someone and we create magic on stage. That's what gets me excited. I love being able to create magic with my colleagues and
Yeah.
have fun with my colleagues. And we're vibing, we're having fun together. And then we open our mouths and start singing, and the orchestra's playing well. Oh my God. For me,
Yeah.
that magic that can be created, that gets me so excited. That turns me on.
And so, what turns you off?
What turns me off? Oh my God. Um, you know what turns me off? People who go to gigs and complain all the time. They complain the whole gig. You know
The
that.
whole time.
You know that about me though. You know that. I have this thing. I'm going to tell you a quick story because I know we're running out of time. You know,
No,
these
we're not.
talks
We're
can go
fine.
on
We're
and
fine.
on and on and on and on.
We're fine.
But I when I sang my first Porgy and Bess at New York City Opera when I was very young and fresh out of school and everything, I went to New York City Opera and did my audition, signed my contract 3 weeks later, and then a couple of months later the rehearsal started. And I'm on the floor doing scene work, and a young woman who was in the chorus leaned over and said to me, she says, well, I was supposed to be one of the Besses. And she said, and then they didn't give me Bess. So I signed the chorus contract because they said that they would offer me a Strawberry Woman, but they still haven't offered me a Strawberry Woman. She says, and I just really feel that it's so unfair. And in my youth, I looked at her and I said, then why did you sign the contract? And I said, if you didn't want to sing chorus, you should have never signed a chorus contract. And she looked at me and she went on about her business.
See, you
And
can't
I
sign.
went on to say my bestest.
You
My
can't
three
sign.
songs.
You can't sign the contract and then be mad about what you signed on for.
You can't. And this particular individual complained a lot. And I've been to several gigs where people just complain. And I said, short of someone abusing you and being mentally or physically abusive
Yeah.
and at a gig, in my opinion, my role is to be a leader and
Mm.
and bring people together in the show. And for my goal is to be a part of the solution. That's how I feel about gigs. So that's why, I don't I as much as humanly possible, I don't complain. So
Okay. So,
yeah.
what sound or noise do you love?
Oh, that's interesting. What sound or noise do I love? I love the sound of wind rustling in
Mm.
the trees and the leaves. I love that sound. I can sit out, that sound, that's a transformative sound for me. I can go sit outside and listen to the wind in the leaves and have great revelations. So I love that sound. Mhm.
And what sound or noise do you not like at all?
What's um vocal fry is a generational issue.
I can't stand it either.
I don't know what it
Oh
is.
my God.
Uh, I can't do vocal fry.
Please, please get on your breath and support.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. So I think my least favorite sound is probably vocal fry. I'm a singer. What can I say?
Okay, question number 7. What is your favorite curse word? And yes, you can say it.
Ooh! It's either the F-bomb or shit.
Okay.
Yeah. I
I'll
mean,
take
but
that.
I will say this, I will say this. I didn't really use the F-bomb before I moved to New York.
Listen, New York will bring the F-bombs out of you.
So, so that I don't know what it is about New York, but eventually in New York, that's going to become a part of your vernacular.
Yes.
You got to
Yes.
say it. You got to. There's
It,
no way
it,
to get through living in New York without going, fuck.
right. Listen, I am fluent in the F-bomb when I'm in New York. It's insane.
You got to. At some point, it's gonna drop.
Okay, so number 8, I have to alter because you do so many, and so I want you to think outside of the ones that you already do.
Okay.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Psychiatrist.
Aha.
Yes. I've thought often about going back to school and being a psychiatrist. Specifically psychiatrist because I would want to be able to prescribe medication.
Please keep your pad handy.
Because I know lots of people who need medication. And I look at some people in this industry. I've been on a couple of gigs where the people were just, the personality. And I looked at
Yes.
the person. I looked at one person one time and I said, you know what? I said, you are a wonderful person, but I hope that after this gig, you go and you get professional guidance.
Yes.
And if they tell you to take medication, take it. It's
Take
okay.
it. It's
Because
okay.
people need medication. So many people in this industry, especially. So I could be a psychiatrist.
What profession would you not ever want to attempt?
Anything having to do with computers.
Really?
Mm-mm. I don't want to program a computer. I don't want to do apps. I don't want to do any of that. I don't. I don't want to do anything computer science. I should be more specific.
Okay.
No computer science. No.
Okay. And so the last question is, if heaven exists, what will you want to hear God say when you get to the pearly gates?
Oh, well done, my good and faithful servant. Yes, well done.
Well done.
And here's your part for the heavenly choir.
Hello, come on. Here's your robe.
Here's your roll.
Here's your robe.
For the
I got
heavenly
a robe. You got a robe. All got. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Well, Marsha, I thank you so. We've been talking for almost 2 hours.
Yes.
I adore you, and thank you so much for coming on Black Opera Live and sitting and chatting with me.
What an awesome, awesome opportunity to speak to you as a friend and a colleague, but also as my interviewer,
Yeah.
my interrogator. I know. I appreciate you.
I wasn't too bad. I wasn't too bad.
Oh, you were awesome.
So
Okay.
once we stop going live, don't sign out of the studio because I want to talk to you a little bit. So
Okay.
thank you to Marsha, and thank you everybody out there who watched and
Thank
asked
you for
questions and made
watching.
comments. I love all of y'all. And so next week on the Black Opera Live set will be soprano Latanya Moore. So please come back
Oh my God.
and chat with us as the
Awesome.
Latanya Moore sits in the studio with me. I'm looking forward to that as well. And don't forget to mark your calendars for September the 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
I
for
bought my ticket.
Jesse Norman at 75, a celebration. And go
Yes.
to the Black Opera page and click on the Eventbrite link and get your ticket and tell your friends. And grab a friend and watch it together and get on a watch party and just be moved and enjoy because it's going to be fantastic. The guest list
Can't wait.
of speakers is growing by I can't even tell y'all who called us on Saturday asking if they could possibly contribute. And we were like, excuse me? Of course you can. But
please tell me it's Oprah. Please tell me it's Oprah.
I'm keeping it hushed. You gotta get your ticket and choose your seat and sit down on September 15th at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So thank y'all so much for hanging with Marsha and I tonight. And remember, wear your mask, wash your hands, because guess what? We need this pandemic to end. We need it to end. And make sure y'all are registered to vote. Y'all gonna get sick of me saying register to vote, and make sure you go in there and either press the button or mail it in or deliver it to your county clerk's office, or do what you need to do to make the change and be a part of the change that you want to see. Because this pandemic has to stop. This systematic racism has to stop. These senseless murders of Black lives has to stop. And a lot of it has to do with how you vote. This orange baboon has appointed 198 judges in his tenure. And I will give you 3 guesses as to how many are Black judges and liberal judges. You're out of time. There might be 1 in the 198. He is placing people in positions, and often these positions are lifetime.
And they're all between the ages of 30 and 55.
Which means they have a lot of time to exact these laws and these procedures and put other people in place to continue the suffering of people of color. And we have to make it end. And part of making that end is taking your tail to the ballot box, filling that thing out, and making your voice heard. All right? Thank you to Marsha and my whole Black Opera Live team. And I will see you all next Monday at 7 with LaTanya Moore. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Bye, everybody.